Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Higher Learning is on. It's Lathan Jr.
It is me, Rachel and Lindsay.
Later on, we have Logan Murdock joining us on the show to talk about the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, shocking news, breaking news that happened in the NBA. Gambling sweep, the mafia is involved. Logan Murdock, a Ringer colleague, is going to join us to talk about the ramifications of this for the NBA culture. We then get into a larger conversation about celebrity culture, which then leads to a larger conversation about masculinity and manhood and the fact that Logan likes a nice coat of paint on his nails. You know, we talk about all of it. Talk about Prince, talk about y'all uncles, talk about a lot of stuff. It's fun.
It's a great conversation.
Logan's great. We have a conversation about it. This is more of a culture-heavy show. Next week, though, we are going to get into the economy. We're going to talk to you guys about something that you guys should be very aware of, which is the fact that the American economy right now is a ruse. It's a ruse. It's not real.
Are you do you have stocks?
Not really.
Okay.
It's not a real economy. I have all those funds and stuff. Get like money market accounts. And all
Okay.
that stuff.
I only asked because of the conversation we were having off mic, and I started talking to my financial guy about stocks and stuff and my investments, and just an interesting conversation.
Let me tell you what I believe, and I'm sure your financial guy is telling you different. We're in an AI bubble that is being driven by supernormal investment into one sector of the American economy. And on top of that, there are 6 different companies that are funding this. One in the middle, NVIDIA. All of them together, funding each other, making artificial revenue that is then leading to more investment. And when this bubble bursts, we're going to experience pain. We're going to have people on to talk to you guys about this. Not just that, but large language models and whether or not artificial general intelligence is even possible. They told us that AI would fly us to Mars, and they can't even get ChatGPT right. All of it might be a lie, Rachel. We're going to talk about it. It's very important. All right, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but we're going to start the show with Stephen A. Smith.
We're going to bring an expert on, too. I just want to say that. We're going to bring an expert on to talk, right?
I've been drilling down now.
No, I know. You were on top of your shit. I asked Van one question. He sent me like 8 videos about it. And I was like, all right,
I'm going to get, man.
But I did talk to my guy about it. I posed some of his questions.
What did he say?
I asked him if he wanted to come on. He was like, you don't want me to come on.
Why?
He just said, you don't want me to come on. I said, okay.
Come on.
No. We're going to have an expert come on.
No. Tell me this. If he's going to make, because
Black guy too.
If he's going to talk about, is it Humble?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Shout out to Humble. If he's going to talk about capital expenditures and all of that stuff, look, there are a lot of people who believe this. I'll say this before we go. I'll give the other side. There are a lot of people who think that the overinvestment into AI is actually a positive thing because there will be technologies that we get out of this overinvestment period that's run by OpenAI and NVIDIA. OpenAI is the company behind ChatGPT. NVIDIA is the company that makes the GPUs in order to power all of this stuff. So there are a lot of people who believe that this overinvestment will lead to technologies that we can use that will change our lives. A lot of people that say the technologies are not catching up with the investment. Nobody's turning a profit. It's all a fugazi, all that stuff. So we have to talk about that. There's one other thing that we have to talk about too. AI data centers.
Oh. I was reading something about that.
AI
about
data
the
centers
neighborhoods
taking
that they're
over.
going. Yeah.
You guys, that
Taking
person
over
that lives next door to you could soon be an AI data center. Constant humming, using all the electricity in your community, using all the clean water, not just water, using clean water, constant humming, all of this stuff so that somebody can make a video of Sexy Red twerking on Martin Luther King Jr. Like all of that stuff.
They stopped those. They came out and they said, no more Martin Luther King Jr. videos.
That's crazy.
I sent you one.
I know.
I said, don't laugh. I said, don't. Did you laugh?
All right. So we got to move on. Sora Slop
Somebody back there is laughing. Somebody back there is familiar.
Sora Slop sucks. It sucks, right? It sucks. But, the only thing that's funny about Martin Luther King Jr. in the trap or Martin Luther King Jr. in the strip club is that we don't see him that way.
Of course not.
So it is something to where you guys get videos all the time and you're not supposed to laugh at him, and you go, oh man, that's not funny. But the first time you see it, it's funny.
It's jarring. Like the
Right.
one where he was at the microphone and he just, instead of talking, starts barking.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
that's the one I sent you.
Yeah,
And I was like, this is like, it just made me uncomfortable.
But what does it say about what does it say about people though, that the first thing we get some kind of technology, a useless technology, by the way.
And we do some racist shit with it.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day on Sora where it was like taking Pixar Disney movies and changing them into something. They had one called Fields.
With niggas?
He was in the field. It was like some racist shit, like a slave in the field, stop it. And he was going to escape, and as on his way to escaping, he said, I'm going to be a basketball star.
I'm sorry, man. Fuck that shit, dog. That's hilarious, bro. Like, bro, that's fucked up. See, like, everybody's laughing. This is all black people back here. That's our problem. Like, well, see, you see what I'm saying?
Summer from Disney and Pixar.
Where are these knee guards?
I have a dream that one day we will make it to freedom. I'll be a rapper. No, actually a basketball player.
Fields, coming soon.
I watched the video yesterday, and the video, this was actually not AI, but it was like about little people. And little people in a society where they dominated society, and they called regular sized people biggers. And they called them biggers, and they were like, we don't deal with bigger lovers over here. And the whole deal. And I'm looking at this shit, I'm laughing my ass off. One of our problems is that we love to celebrate too much. And we actually have a great sense of humor, great cultural taste, all of that. So we get distracted by it. That shit you just described, that shit is fucking funny. I don't want to see it, Rachel. Get it out my... Rachel. First of all, to let you guys know, that video costs a lot of electricity, a lot of water.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous. It's terrible. Also, I'll say this. OpenAI lost $5 on that video. Every time they make one of these videos, they lose money. OpenAI is burning through cash because they're not profitable. And so they're not profitable, and the energy and economic demand of making those videos, they don't really make that back. So they're just burning through cash and depending on investment from outside investors and the circular economy that AI has created to keep it going. And we need to make sure that you guys are paying attention to it, so we're going to put you up on it. But let's start with Stephen A. Smith. He has apologized to Jasmine Crockett. This is a Rachel special here.
No.
It is, because I saw you in Stephen A. Smith's comments.
I'm so frustrated with him.
You're upset. I saw you in his comments, like, fighting a war. Like, so, I'm going to let you...
I was using exclamation points and everything.
He keeps coming at her. You were really into it. Let's listen to what he had to say, and then I want to get why you're so ginnied up about this one.
Welcome to this special edition of Straight Shooter with Stephen A. That's what I'm going to call this, Straight Shooter with Stephen A., because obviously this doesn't have anything to do with sports. This has a lot to do with a whole brouhaha that's been going on with me over the last few weeks. Now, I will tell you, I apologize for not speaking about this earlier. If you took a close-up of my face right now, you'll see the right side of my face swollen. I had emergency double root canal surgery. And so I've been down and out and drugged up and stuff like that over the last few days, trying to overcome this stuff. But nevertheless, it is what it is. I'm here right now. I wanted to take a moment because I saw something disturbing in regards to President Donald Trump and how he came at Representative Jasmine Crockett. And I wanted to take this opportunity to attack this issue as it pertained to me and Jasmine Crockett, because I personally have had an issue with how things have been misconstrued and misinterpreted. But at the end of the day, I have to own it. And that's what I'm going to do today. And so when somebody says to me, Stephen, rather than point to her and her verbiage and her language and how she talked about the president, what about how he talks? I have no problem with that. I can understand that. And if that is the reason that everybody is in an uproar, that is fine. And I have no problem apologizing to my sister, because, damn it, I want her to know I don't feel that way about her. Just like I didn't feel that way about Kamala Harris. Just like I don't feel that way about the marvelous, the wonderful, the incomparable, the greatest first lady ever, and Michelle Obama, in my estimation, or anybody else. But what we're going to do on this show is understand who the hell I am and how it's going to be as long as I'm doing this show. I have no problem apologizing if I'm wrong. I have no problem apologizing if I've made somebody feel a certain kind of way.
That nigga said Stephen A. lined that bitch up and he shot that motherfucker straight. What you got to say?
Listen, y'all know how I feel about Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to talk about him anymore, but we have to address the apology because we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, which I'll start from the top. That's bullshit about him having the root canal. Of course he had it. I'm not going to deny that. But him saying he's down. Well, no. He's saying he was down and out. He said, I apologize. No, I'm saying he said he apologizes for just now having these comments because he had a root canal. But he starts off saying people have been, talking about what he said over the last couple of weeks. That was not a 2-week thing. The reason that it took you 2 weeks to say it is not because you had a root canal. It's because you have been getting reamed in social media. You have been getting ripped apart for your take on Jasmine Crockett because you can't back up the things that you said. There's not one redeeming thing in that he said. Nobody's agreeing with him. And it got to the point where he has to fall on the sword and admit that he was wrong in what he said. He says, and he uses the basis of it, of Donald Trump saying something recently about Jasmine Crockett. And he's saying, if anything I said contributed to that, I apologize because that is not how I view Jasmine Crockett. My frustration, and the reason I was in the comments, is because this is not the first time that Donald Trump has attacked Jasmine Crockett or another Democrat of color. It's not the first time. He makes it a regular occurrence. So for you to play ignorant and act like, oh, I wasn't aware that Donald Trump says nasty things about Jasmine Crockett, I'm sorry, I just can't let that go, which is why I was riled up and I was writing in the comments. Prior to Stephen A. Smith making the comments he did about Jasmine Crockett, Donald Trump had said that Jasmine Crockett has a low IQ. She's a nasty woman. She's a lowlife. We shouldn't waste our time on her. He can't believe that this person is in Congress. If she ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one that she should take and he said if she had to take one, she wouldn't be able to pass it or it would reveal who she is. And then he uses her as a mockery and he's like, the Democratic Party's weak leadership, it's because of their new star, Jasmine Crockett. And he says they're in serious trouble because she's their new star leading it. He has continued to put her down as he has before. She's not the first politician that's a woman of color that he has continued to say negative things about because of what they look like. So for Stephen A.
You're talking about Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Okay,
This whole time, Donald Trump said all those things prior to Stephen A. Smith saying what he said about Jasmine Crockett. And then people criticized him for attacking a Black woman, but also not holding Donald Trump to the same standard, who has continued to lash out or unleash attacks on a numerous amount of people, including Jasmine Crockett and other women of color that are politicians in the Democratic Party. So now I'm not going to let it slide that you want to come on here and say, that is not how I see Jasmine Crockett. You want to backtrack the things that you said because people are coming at you and you're using something that Donald Trump just said when he's been saying it. And for Stephen A. Smith, I just listened to him on First Take today. For Stephen A. Smith to say, I'm a person who absorbs and talks about politics all the time. Why is it that you have no idea the things that Donald Trump has been saying about Jasmine Crockett? You don't get to pick and choose which things you're going to acknowledge and which things you're going to not, which things you're going to play ignorant to and which things you're not going to. So I'm just frustrated with, again, I've said this before on the podcast, this circle that Stephen A. Smith keeps taking us to fit a certain narrative or to win favor with the public or to go viral or to get people to tune into his show. I'm just over it. And all that to say the apology rating is a 0.
Jesus Christ. 0 apology rating.
All that to say it's a 0.
Rachel she's typically very lenient and shows a lot of grace with the apology rating. So this one is a shocker. Listen, okay, a couple of things. First of all, low life, when you put all Donald Trump's insults together, low life, nasty woman, low IQ, that's like some Color Purple shit. Remember the Color Purple?
Of course.
Remember how they talked about women in the Color Purple? Like color. Oh man, I heard she got that nasty woman's disease.
Yeah, they did.
You watch the Color Purple and you just want to go out and punch a random man in his mouth. Like, how could you guys have been a part of this, right? My mom, for years and years and years, could not stand the sight of Danny Glover. She's like, that's not Murtaugh, that's Mister. Get him off my TV.
That means he played his part well.
He did a good job. He lost all his shit. He was just one nigga with a fucking mule at the end of the movie. Do right by me. Okay, back to Stephen A. Smith. Okay, a couple of things here. On the apology, I think that the full apology, I would encourage people to listen to.
Yeah, you should listen to the whole thing.
I saw DL Hughley respond to this. And what DL said was that he extends grace to Stephen A. Smith because he also said some things that were untrue about Kamala Harris. People got at him, and he came around, so he had to extend that same grace. Well, I guess my thing is this. There's a larger community here. We're going to talk about Emmanuel Acho, too, in a second. And both of the conversations that we're having, Emmanuel Acho was on the podcast and he had some things to say about me, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think both conversations that we're going to have are actually not about Stephen A. Smith or Emmanuel Acho. They're actually about the demands that we put on community. And a question that we continuously ask ourselves is whether or not we are in community with people. Now, it is a part of community to stress it. Like, that is, like when you are in community with someone and you make an ask of somebody, you're stressing them. You're asking them to do something out of community that they would have not normally thought to do, or something that is a personal sacrifice to them. And you're asking for community to be bigger than that, for that to be bigger than a stressor to you or an opportunity to you. Community means more. It means more than that. That's what community is. It's, to me, people that are locked in together, that have each other's best intentions and outcomes in the back of their minds and in the front of their hearts, in the front of their minds. And sometimes to really be in community with someone, or to believe that you're in community with someone, you have to stress that a little bit. You have to test that community. And what it seems like to a lot of people is, from that standpoint, that over and over and over again, Stephen A. Smith fails the test of community. It felt like he failed the test of community with Colin Kaepernick to a lot of people. It feels like he failed the test of community when there was a picture of him smiling with Cheryl Clark. It feels like he failed the test of community when it is him talking about Jasmine Crockett. That's what people feel like. They feel like over and over and over again, they're reminded that there's something other than being in community with us that Stephen A. Smith is interested in. I don't know that all of those criticisms, besides Colin Kaepernick, which I have deep Colin Kaepernick, and you know what? It's not true. I think all of those criticisms have been fair.
I was going to say.
I do. I think all those criticisms have been fair. I guess the question is, what he would say to those criticisms to me was that there are other ways I show I'm in community. I give back to HBCUs. I give back to my community.
Sure.
I show that I am.
And I know behind the scenes, he does fight for Black talent,
right,
on ESPN.
Right. There are plenty of people that would probably step forward and say, this is the way Stephen A. Smith showed up for me. There is a time that we're in right now. There's a time that we're in right now where we expect a lot of the tilling of the soil that has gone into building community right now to be very evident. Things are very dire. Why are you fucking around with Jasmine Crockett? And so the question is not necessarily whether or not what he said is truthful, whether or not what he said is accurate. I think the question is why. And I'll say a couple more things and I'll turn it back. Rate set. One thing. There are two reasons that people make up in their minds. Both of them, neither one of them are any appropriate explanation, but they have different motivations that both lead you back to the same conclusion. One is that it's super cynical and just for the purposes of building out his platform. It's a capitalistic play. Stephen A. Smith has been a sports guy for 30 years. Can you be a sports guy for another 30 years? Can you be a sports guy for another 20 years? Is Stephen A. Smith okay with being Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon, these giants in these arenas that are known more as sports commentators than cultural critics, right? You know, he wanted to do a late night show. He has aspirations outside of that. What is one of the best ways to be taken seriously as a cultural voice? It's to get into serious matters. Stephen A. Smith talking about politics is the same reason why Disney stars start taking their clothes off as soon as they leave Disney. They're saying, I'm all grown up now.
Yeah.
And it look at me in this way. The second explanation would be that deep down, there is something enticing or alluring about not just the right, not just their politics and their policy, but the cult of personalities that he sees on the right. Like that Stephen A. Smith, and this is a question we ask ourselves all the time, that he likes Donald Trump and the way Donald Trump acts, that he likes Sean Hannity and the way Sean Hannity acts, that those are actually his tribe of people, and that he can't help but identify with them in his political analysis of things because deep down, he is more like them than he is like us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second concern. I don't know which one it is, but these are the questions that people are asking. They look at a situation and they go, when you're picking between Donald Trump and Jasmine Crockett, why is it reflexive for you to choose to side with Donald Trump over Jasmine Crockett? Shouldn't you be looking for reasons to protect her instead of him? Isn't that what we're kind of, the question that we're kind of asking? I'm not sure that this apology gets to that, but it does get to the fact that he at least listened to community, does it not?
One of the things you said is the question people have as to why you're doing this. So that same question I would ask towards this, why are you saying this now? You said this weeks ago. After all the backlash, I'm looking at, of course, we'll never know his actual intention, but I'm looking at the timing of why is it that you're saying it now. I'm also listening to his apology. Yes, he is acknowledging that he was wrong in how he went about it. But I'm also listening to you say, and I said this as we were playing it, I go, I hate when he does that. You said something about Jasmine Crockett. You said something about Michelle Obama. And then you'll be like, the wonderful, talented, amazing Michelle. No, which one is it? To me, I don't like you said something and now you want to say, I think Jasmine Crockett, he says this later on, if you listen to the whole thing, I think Jasmine Crockett should be running for Senate. Now, you just said this woman has done she's not doing basically nothing but running her mouth. And what is it that she's actually doing for her district and community? And I said this before on the podcast. So my issue with you is I agree with everything you said, but you talked about community part of it more than it being accurate. And I have to lean to both. I think you're absolutely right about the community, but also the accuracy in what it is that he's saying. I said this before. One simple search shows the things that the initiatives, the bipartisan bills, other partisan bills, I guess you would say, that Jasmine Crockett has put through or tried to push through that represent the constituents in her community. Going back to community. One simple search shows that. So when you pose the question of what is it that she's doing other than talking and coming after Donald Trump? A lot. It is why her constituency backs her up. It is why she is so meaningful to the community because she's doing both. And I just have a hard time accepting or even digesting the things that Stephen A. Smith is saying because I'm remembering what you said before and the two don't reconcile together. What I would have liked to hear him say is, I was wrong in what I said. And as somebody who now has a platform where I talk about politics, where I digest it, I consume a lot of it. I am a political pundit at this point. I should have done more research to determine what is it that Jasmine Crockett is actually doing for the community. And I didn't do that. I asked the question without ever even researching what the answer to it is. I didn't give her the benefit of the doubt of maybe she's speaking out of frustration because she is trying to push forward certain policies and legislation that is being ignored but she is trying to do things on behalf of her community. That's not what you said. You basically said, I feel this way about Jasmine Crockett, but how dare you say I don't respect Black women when I feel this way about Michelle Obama, when I feel this way about Kamala Harris? You don't get to do the two. And to me, that's why it's not a full apology. I just can't accept. It's not my apology to accept, really, but I guess I just can't be okay with the 12-minute speech that he just gave because I feel like it doesn't cover everything. I feel like I said a lot, but I hope that made sense.
It does. This is essentially what I'm trying to say. As it relates to this, once again, is there a thought in anybody's head that Stephen A's effusive praise of Michelle Obama or the fact that he liked Kamala Harris, he voted for Kamala Harris, that all of that is bullshit. Is there a thought that Stephen A. Smith, at his heart, is not just a conservative, but a conservative that's, he calls himself a centrist, but that he is somebody who actually believes in the cult of personality of Donald Trump? The reason why I asked that question is because what you laid out is seemingly Stephen A. Smith accepting Donald Trump's narrative about Jasmine Crockett. The reason why he might have not done research is because he believes what the president says, right? And that, once again, is different. It doesn't mean it's not something in and of itself to be debated or talked about, but it's different. Like, I've heard him say before that he understands why Donald Trump has it out for everyone. He understands the retribution that Donald Trump seeks against everybody because of the way they came at Donald Trump. I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
That narrative, to me, is not factual in any reality. Not at all. And even if I was to be able to emotionally understand somebody wanting to punish their enemies, the president. So once you give the president of the United States even an intellectual or emotional, even into like a shred of a green light to act in that way, you're fucking with the whole thing. And that, to me, demonstrates that you really don't have a fundamental understanding of how this should work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he makes sure when he's talking about this stuff to go, even though I do kind of understand why Donald Trump, look, he's right. It's his opinion, it's his show. He'd be a straight shooter, the whole nine. But the larger question right now for me is the DOJ in Alabama dropped a case where Black people were fighting for clean water. Legitimately, to get the shit out of the water. They're erasing Black history. They're kidnapping people on the street. There's one group that's fighting against that, and there's one group who isn't. I am not deifying any of the Democrats. I am not a Democrat. If you guys want me to explain why I'm not a Democrat, I will explain why I'm not a Democrat. Maybe I'll do that later on. But there's one group that's saying, hey, leave the kids alone. Keep the military out of American cities. It's like dire now. This type of political conversation, this is 1996 shit. This is like the Beltway Boys, Crossfire, whatever. But we're not in that realm. That's not where we at right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the realm of legitimately right now preserving the democracy. We're analyzing our relationship to American politics and how that affects our everyday life. Your ability to move, your ability to go places, legitimately strikes taking place on vessels in the Caribbean, killing people where our government is saying they're drug dealers, just trust us. Legitimately a genocide happening that's being underwritten by both wings of the party. There's a ceasefire right now. Hope that it holds, right? Even though we see right now the far right in Israel trying to undermine the ceasefire. Like lives on the line, futures on the line. We've seen in the AI stuff, all of this stuff we're talking about. Is there a strategy to affect people's lives that he is trying to affect? Or are you just yapping? I'm yapping. We all yapping. But I'm trying to yap in favor of not zip tying children.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the thing. I can't, if somebody recognizes that they done wrong and they come back and or they recognizes that they were wrong and they come back and yo, I'm cool. I got to give you that. That's how I stay in community with people. Hey man, you feel like you was wrong? Cool. You didn't listen to people. You done hurt. I got to give you that. But I understand everything you're saying.
Intention is we're going to get into attention when we talking to Emmanuel Acho, but the timing.
I feel you. Get on the phone with that man.
genuine.
Like, that's your man. Hit him up.
No, after my
So Emmanuel Acho was on 154 Africa, and he was talking with Godfrey, and he was talking with
Akbar.
Akbar. Oh,
Wasn't that Akbar?
yeah, it was Akbar. Before we even play this, I fuck with almost everything Godfrey does. As a matter of fact, I think Godfrey is one of the voices that makes me believe in diaspora unity.
He called you Van Helsing.
He did call me Van Helsing. He did. But once again, I've changed. You know what I'm saying? They were on 154 Africa. These are 3 Nigerian men having a conversation. And the interaction that we had with Emmanuel Acho was brought up, and this is what Emmanuel Acho had to say.
You recently had one that went viral with Van Lathan.
Oh,
Van Lathan.
That's the primary one.
Yeah.
Was that, how long ago was that now? January of 23 or
Because you said what you said, and I know me, I like to do rants and all that. And I said, yo, you know what Acho said? I said, I like Acho. Shit. I was like, what did Acho? Anybody ever go Acho, man?
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Damn. I thought I was original. But yeah, so I was like, let me see what he said. I said, man, I don't know. Because being a Nigerian, I kind of know what he's saying. But I was like, let me, and I'm glad that you showed up. I said, oh, we get to talk about this. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm not going to give my opinion on it. I don't want to say, because I support all the Nigerians that are on TV. You know what I'm saying? So I said, I think people took it the wrong way, what you were saying. If I'm right about how you deal with certain people because you're Nigerian American.
Yeah, I mean, I said there's a lot of things, and I don't really talk about that often just because I don't need to give it oxygen. Right. But that was the most disheartening interview, conversation, and response I've ever had for several reasons. Number one, what was your intention? Right, when I asked what was your intention, the response to my knowledge was like, well, I talk about you a lot off camera, so I didn't want to be like no BI when you here. And I'm like, who's making you that? Furthermore, like, if you wanted to attack me, I don't need to be present for this. Like, you can attack me when I'm at home doing something else. Because, bro, I don't really do conversations, right? I don't do podcasts, rather. I had vocal cord surgery, so I don't like to talk a lot. Only reason I did it was because my friend at the time, Rachel Lindsay, was on the show. So I see it come through, my dog come through, sure, I'll do it, whatever. As soon as I got on, I was like, oh, I see what type of time you on. You feel me? As soon as I got on, I was like, oh, this is a hit job. Like, this wasn't a, because I came on, I got my Emmys in my background and my backdrop, Rachel's like, oh, okay, you got Emmys, and Van just looks mad. Mad. And then during the course of the conversation, I was like, I was really just disheartened, and I wasn't as much disheartened for me as I was for us. Because I was like, if somebody's watching this, what are they supposed to assume? What are they supposed to perceive? You just got black people arguing. You got black people arguing.
And it's like, pick a side.
He was Van Helsing.
What was this? What was the game? What was the game, bro? If you got an issue with my approach, hit my line. You have my number, and you can get my number from your co-host. So I'm very, and maybe because I'm Oprah trained, but I'm very intrigued always by what's your intention and what was your intention for that. It's a lot of people I don't agree with in how they approach trying to reconcile peace in America right now. I've never once publicly undermined somebody. Not somebody black.
So
This year?
the things that he said aren't entirely wrong.
Okay.
They're not. I think this is probably a personality thing more than anything. Has to do with me, has to do with him. First of all, can we have a little real talk between us?
Sure.
I called you before the interview. What did I say?
I don't remember.
I called you before.
I think you asked me, does he know why he's coming on?
I said, does he know? I said, I don't know that we should do this. Does he know? I said, does he know? I said, I don't know that we should do this. And I said, I don't know that we should do this. Does he know why he's coming on? I'm talking to you because this is your friend.
So, and what I said to you is, well, yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't, because anytime we have talked about him negatively on the podcast, I have given him a heads up and said, hey, just so you know, didn't really agree with what you had to say. We discussed it on the podcast. Because at that time, there were like several either tweets or positions that he had on his show where we took issue with and we discussed them on the show because they went viral. I had not said that to him right before our podcast, but anytime previously we talked about him as a friend, I gave him a heads up.
Okay.
So I didn't talk to him prior to the podcast because I just assumed, well, you know where we stand because we've talked about you a couple of times on the podcast. Not knowing our booker, because that's really what happened.
We should be clear about what's being said right now.
He had a different understanding coming in.
We should be clear about it. And this is the clarity. I'm not crawfishing back from the interview. And I'm certainly not in any way saying that, I did tell Rachel. What I'm saying is that if he is asking what my intention was, the frame of mind that I went into the interview with was a frame of mind of being insanely displeased, borderlining on angry. And the reason why I felt that way is because I had consumed a lot of his content. So I had consumed in order to get ready for the interview, I watched a million episodes of
Uncomfortable
White Conversations. What's it called?
Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man.
Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And in watching all of these interviews, they made me mad.
Right.
And the reason why the interviews made me mad is because of a difference in approach. He's right. It's a difference in approach in the way you react and confront white supremacy. There is a way that you react to white supremacy that makes white supremacy comfortable enough to talk about it. That's not my way. My way is, here's a mirror. Here's what's happening. Here's why it's wrong. We can decide to have an honest conversation about reconciling this, or put your fucking hands up, best man wins. That's the way I do it. But if you are a police officer, or if you are an old white actor, I'm not gonna sit down and make you feel comfortable and okay about the deep, deep, deep ingrained racism that you have inside of you. I'm not gonna sit down with the police officer and try to understand the perspective of a cop who doesn't get that his job is to serve and protect citizens no matter what their race is, right? And that's just not my way. That could be somebody else's way, but that's not my way. So I'm having a conversation, watching this, and thinking not only is it wrong strategically, but it is harmful.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my opinion, when you do that, you actually give cover to them, or to it. I don't want to say them, but you give cover to it because they leave feeling like they had a conversation with a Black man. They feel better about the lie that's being reinforced in them. And that, to me, it's annoying. And so when I sat down, I was annoyed at having watched all of this. But that interview would not have gone the way that it was, but for one thing that was said. In the interview, at one point, Emmanuel Acho says that he is in a unique position to talk about the plight of Black people because he understands Black people and he talks to white people without the sting of generational trauma because he is Nigerian. He doesn't come from he doesn't have exactly the same lineage as Black Americans. So when he talks to white people, it doesn't bother him as much. Now, he made that statement to a Black man from the Black blood-soaked soil of South Louisiana. I am bothered. I'm bothered by it all. I am intensely, overwhelmingly, and obviously bothered. And all of you guys, as you watch this right now, Van is emotional about the way his people are treated. I'm emotional. My emotion focuses me on the life individually of Black people in this country. Not when they marching, not when they going to college, not when they having their applications for their jobs read, not when they wearing their dreads on fucking Wednesday of a random month, of a random day. You should be able to have a good day in this country regardless of the fact that you are Black. So if you tell me that you are in a unique position to have this conversation and you have it in a way that's milquetoast to me, and then you assert that to me, you're going to get pushed back. Should I have insulted Emmanuel Acho? No. Since that moment in my life, I have endeavored and tried to create community with Black people. in a more direct and understanding way. I called him last night. Before we had this conversation, I called him last night. And by the way, him and I had spoken before. He once said on Twitter that he didn't think that that Olympic athletes should be smoking weed because somebody could throw the javelin and kill someone.
Yes, I remember.
And I made fun of that, and I laughed at it. And then he called me like, hey, if you have a problem with me, you could call me, right? And I've done that before too, particularly the people I respect. I get it. We should be able to have these conversations. Me calling him an emotional butler, even though that's a cold-ass line off the top of the dome. Y'all got to give me that. Come on.
And they did.
That's a cold-ass line.
It is something people say all the time now.
That's a cold-ass line off the top of the dome. That's not the way that you should, that I would want to react at my best. But what I do maintain is this. If you are going to fashion yourself as someone that is going to sit down and have conversations, particularly with white people and white supremacy, white people who, I'm not saying that Matthew McConaughey is a white supremacist. I'm not saying that the police is a different situation as far as what they protect and what undergirds them. If you're going to take that burden on and you're going to exist in that situation, if that's what you're going to do, whether you do it the Oprah way, whether you do it the Charlemagne way, whether you do it the Van way, whether you do it the Stephen A. Smith way, no matter what way you do it, have the conversation with the understanding that there are lives on the line and that any weakness that you show in that will be eaten, digested, and shitted back on Black people by white supremacy. That I do not back away from.
Yeah. I
do not back away from any of that stuff, that criticism, none of that. I watched this and you know what I thought? I thought, if he thinks that that he came in and I was like, I'm gonna get Emmanuel Acho. That's not what I thought. What I actually thought was, after watching all of this stuff, I probably wasn't in the right headspace to have a conversation with someone whose work, not as a person, whose work on this issue I do not respect. And we would have had the conversation and maybe got back to a place of understanding, but I got triggered.
You got triggered, and we've said this before, but I just want to reiterate it if somebody's new listening to this. Despite me giving him the courtesy previously of telling him every time we've talked about him, I did not call him before the show because I didn't feel like I needed to. He knew what he was walking into, I felt. But unbeknownst to us, it had been communicated to him that he was coming on the show to talk about The Bachelor and our going to UT together and that kind of interview. Like almost like an update on what Emmanuel has and what he has going on in his life and who he is as a person. That is the assumption he came into it with. So you having watched all that material and feeling a certain way, him coming in under this notion that he was talking about himself and what he's done, kind of going down his resume and our friendship, those two things did not align. A couple of things I'll say about Emmanuel Acho. One, did he pick up the phone when you called?
He did not.
Okay.
By the way, me and him have spoken since then.
Since that interview.
Since that interview, me and Emmanuel Acho have spoken since then. I saw him one night at BOA. I went over and said, what's up?
Yeah.
I thought, since then, it was cool. Now, I will say this. There have been other things that have happened since then. I mean, it's not just what happens on Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man that bother people. Emmanuel Acho has carved out a public persona that some people believe to be anti-Black. And that and to me, that is, if we're having real conversations, like I worked at a place that was anti-Black. I'm like, none of us, before you finish, just real quick, none of us is pure. None of us is without fail, without fault. None of us is perfect. I'm in no position to judge anyone else. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not trying to pit one person against the other. I'm just giving you guys my actual thought.
I don't think people think that. And if I'm going to say anything about what he did, other than him saying, at the time I was friends with Rachel.
You're not friends with him no more?
I mean, let him say it. Let him tell you that.
Is he following you right now?
He does not follow me.
He don't follow you.
I saw that and I was like, oh, he don't follow me. So
that nigga took it out on you.
So damn. I mean, he felt like I didn't have his back. I think we talked about that before. He felt like I didn't have his back in the interview. But maybe I wouldn't have said it and handled it that way, but I also, as I told him before, don't agree with how he's handling it. And I have a unique perspective. I think I've said this on the podcast. Originally, he asked me to be a part of Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. It was going to be a different title. And things happened in COVID, and it was like, you do it. And we were supposed to have different perspectives on it. I'm glad it happened the way that it did, because we wouldn't have aligned on certain things. But my issue with him in what he's saying here are a couple of things. One, he talks about, I don't do podcasting. I've had surgery on my voice. I don't really do these things, but you do. So I find it interesting that he has such a problem with you calling out something that he's done in a public way. That is what Emmanuel Acho does. He doesn't have his show anymore, but when he had his show, when he's on social media, he talks about an issue that's happened in current affairs with sports, pop culture. He talks about a tweet. He dissects things that people do in a public way. He doesn't always give them a phone call. He doesn't always say, hey, I'm just going to deal with it privately. He has made a career off of reacting to things that happen. And he's able to do that. He has the right to do that. So why don't you have the right to then question him on things that he has publicly said when he does that very same thing? It's the victim mentality that I don't like. I didn't like that when I listened to that clip, that he painted himself as one way and made you seem like this aggressive person who was coming at him when that's not what he was trying to do. He said, it bothered me for us. It bothered me for us because people were watching Black people argue. Now, I'm not saying I agree with the approach and how, emotions got raised necessarily, but you have built an entire show and a book off of conversations with a Black man. You have positioned yourself to be a representative of a Black man. You have othered yourself from the American Black experience because you feel like you are uniquely positioned to be able to have a conversation with white people that they can digest, that they might not be able to for a Black person who was born here.
Establish communal hierarchy.
Because of what they've been through. You have determined yourself to be the Black voice. So why on earth would Black people not get the opportunity to question you about that? Now, again, we can argue about how it was done, but for him to say, you don't get to ask me that, you need to pick up the phone and call me. No, you are publicly talking about the Black experience. You have yet to been questioned or challenged about the things that you have said on behalf of community. You don't get to separate yourself from that. And that's one of the biggest issues that I have. Again, he could have said it a different way where I would have been like, fair. But to once again position yourself as a victim, where you were the angry Black man coming at him, again, he othered himself.
But can I tell you something
in this conversation?
But the reason why I don't have a problem with that, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
She's not wrong. I was angry.
No, I said I don't agree with your approach.
Right. But
he's playing on that.
That's fine for him
to position himself.
You're right. Let me
a certain way.
You're right. I don't care about that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, Van is mad. Like, Van cry on the podcast. Van thinks about stuff. Van gets mad. Van Lathan, third person. I get mad. Sometimes I just get mad at shit. I don't know why it makes me mad. I have a very tough time dealing. You know how people just deal? I've said this before on the podcast. Like, I'll see somebody in a wheelchair wheeling across the street, and this is not in any way to be ableist, but I will think from a universal scale, why does that person not get to use their legs?
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I'm like that. I get that.
And so it's I'm sure people have great lives and whatever. I'm not saying
no,
what I'm saying is, like, I get wrapped up into shit. I get all into it. Like, I've been doing the AI thing for the past month. I'm like, how can I stop this? What can be done? Okay. And this podcast is the vehicle to talk about some of these things. This podcast is the vehicle for me to alert people and maybe raise a signal. And the way that I do that is by trying to convince people that I'm so on fire about this that maybe you should be too. I do not make any excuses or apologies about the way that I do that, right? Mm-hmm. But what I will take accountability for in any situation, it is always my function to exist in safety with Black people.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be safe around me to disagree with me and for me to disagree with you. that takes some type of restraint, that takes some type of decorum on my part. I cannot ignore when I disagree with anyone, no matter who they are, because all skin folk ain't kin folk. That is a fact. And the reality is, there have been people that have had to come to me and be like, Van, that thing that you are doing or saying is not in the interest of community. That's not in the interest of your sisters. There are Black women that I still need to apologize to for the way that I handled situations that I thought I was handling in the right way. I was handling them in the wrong way. Black men, people, family members, all of that. I cannot be above a little tighten up or a little get right. So when I'm saying, hey, I want to be able to sit down at the table with everyone and find 5 things to agree with. That's what I want to do. And that's the work that I've done on myself.
Mm-hmm.
However, having said all of that, there's a responsibility that people have when confronted with certain realities to treat those things like the life and death situations that they are. And if any of it looks like you're not doing that, people will assume that it is a grift.
Correct.
And that people will assume that it is a grift. And so sometimes when I am in tension with somebody, the tension is the opportunity, same opportunity that I've been given.
Mm-hmm.
The tension is an opportunity for the ethos of what it is that they're doing to be made plainly, crystal clear to people so that they can see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want no beef or bad feelings with Emmanuel Acho or anybody else, or with Akbar, with Godfrey. Like I said, Godfrey I particularly fuck with, because I'll tell you something about him. We can move on. Van Helsing, whatever the fuck I am. I can tell you something about him. He is a Nigerian man, a Nigerian lineage, but is a Black guy that is in total community. I've never seen Godfrey do something that I can think of and been like, it seems like he doesn't understand that we all Black. If I was to look at his content and look at the way he positions things, I'm like, oh, well, he gets it. Like, he understands that in this country, there is a specific condition applied to a specific skin color, and you can't escape it even if you try. Like, there's a oneness there. I'm not saying that, I know how to make the jollof rice. I'm not saying that anything, but there's a oneness there. And I've always thought that. I just haven't felt that oneness with Emmanuel Acho. And maybe I'm not supposed to. He said that we are cut from different cloths, and maybe we are.
Yeah, he's othered himself. But that's enough on Emmanuel.
That's enough.
That's enough. I
2
could
things.
keep going.
That was about
enough.
community. Time for Logan Murdock to talk about basketball players and league and paint your nails and all of that stuff. We gave Logan the big part of the show in the middle on the other side of this break. You guys, we have to talk about something that's happening in sports. And that is the sort of intermingling of sports culture and gambling culture. It's something that we knew was going to come to a head at one point. It seems like it did come to a head right now. Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, have both been arrested by the FBI as part, should I say, of what seems to be a pretty wide-reaching investigation or crackdown on illegal gambling. Now, I should say this. These are 2 different situations. Oh, I forgot to mention another one, Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier.
Those are 2 different.
Those
Terry
are 2
and
different.
Chauncey are different.
Terry, Chauncey, Damon.
Damon is the link.
Damon is the link. Chauncey is caught up as part of illegal poker games. Okay. Terry Rozier has been arrested by the FBI in connection to the actual alleged manipulation of in-game shit based upon prop bets and stuff like this. He's been being investigated for this for the last couple of years. This goes back to his time in Charlotte. Now, before we even get to this, we have Logan Murdock from Real Ones, NBA ringer star. Before we even get to this, we should say, just so people know, illegal poker games connected to La Cosa Nostra, a.k.a. Da Mafia, D.A. They've rebranded. They are Da Mafia now.
Was that copyrighted?
They copyrighted it. Da Mafia. All right. The prop bet stuff that we're talking about now, these are micro bets. If you don't know what it is, it's like, hey, will you get 10 rebounds in a game? You can bet on that on various different sites. If you don't get the 10 rebounds, whatever player that you're talking about, then you lose your prop bet. If you get to 10 rebounds, then you win it. The reason why I bring that up is because we're going to have a conversation, and my part of the conversation is going to be about the idea of prop betting in and of itself. But Logan is here, and it's a real big deal. We're talking about active NBA players and coaches being arrested by the FBI at the beginning of an NBA season. What kind of big deal is this in basketball culture?
It's a huge deal because we were supposed to be talking about Wemby being like the next great everything, and talking about how, Rachel's Mavericks are probably going to be ass this season. But instead, instead we're talking about this, right? We're talking about something that can lead a real black mark on the NBA's eye right now, in a time where, sports gambling and sports in general is a very polarizing subject. But I was just really fascinated by like what sports gambling has brought into the conversation since the Supreme Court decision in 2018 and what it's done just for the players, right? I think I read something recently where before the decision, I think about 1% of people were participating in sports gambling. That's ballooned to about 56%.
Yeah.
And what does that bring? That brings a lot more scrutiny to refereeing, player performance, and also player safety and coaches safety. JB Bickerstaff had just already talked about how people be running up on him, talking about, hey man, my parlay is this. What's going on? Why you ain't coaching this, right? And it's coming at a time where, we have so much uncertainty in the country and so much uncertainty going on in general. This is not something that the NBA wants when they're trying to be in this transitional phase where, stars are transitioning out and they're trying to find a new star. There's so many different types of things going on in the NBA. And the Clippers, the biggest two stories are the Clippers investigation right now and then the sports gambling thing, sports gambling thing is probably a bit more terrible because it deals with the integrity of the game. People watch sports in general and they watch football, they watch basketball because they think it's something that a win can happen organically. And once you take away that idea, then it takes away the idea of a league altogether. So this is really important for Adam Silver that he gets this right. And it has to be a harsh punishment. Like if Chauncey did this, he's a coach of a basketball team. If he did this, you got to get him out of the paint. And same with the players and stuff. But this is all eyes are on Adam Silver at this point.
How are they on Adam Silver? Can you explain that? Because I feel like I'm such a dummy when it comes to sports gambling, sports betting. Like I understand the very minimum, the basics. But I guess, with since this is an FBI investigation and now it's handed over to the feds, how is Adam Silver involved? Like what can he do in regards to what's happening now? And I guess also, can he even get a handle on sports gambling and has it gone too far?
I mean, I don't think you could put the toothpaste back in the tube and sort of in terms of sports gambling. I think it just is what it is. And it's not like it's feeding on a lot of different addictions. That's the reality here, right? And it's feeding on the instinct of a professional athlete, right? Especially like retired professional athletes. I was talking to somebody before I came in here about like when an athlete retires, they still have the same instincts, right? They still have the same instincts to win. So it's not really about the money. It's more about the adrenaline rush and things associated with that. But the reason why I say eyes are on Adam Silver in this context is because he has to dole out the punishment, right? I mean, in terms of like suspension and things like that, right? And also, he is overseeing a league that has already gone through something similar like this with Tim Donaghy. So this is kind of his. I mean, he's at this point he's defined by the scandal of Donald Sterling, but this can be a defining scandal that defines his commissionership. Now, obviously, there's going to be stuff that, from a legal standpoint, people are going to get punished if it happens. But as for the integrity of his league and what it means going forward with gambling in it, he has to make the right decision.
I have a much more cynical view of all of this.
We know.
I don't think any of this matters.
What do you mean?
So there's a couple of things that's happening here. Number one is the reality of late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to start covering it on this podcast, but I don't think people understand in America right now, the average American, I don't think they understand just what trouble the economy is in right now. There's essentially two American economies that are existing right now, one for rich people and one for poor people. You might say, hey, Van, it's always been like that, but it's very pronounced now with all the investment at the top of the economy into tech and AI and all of that stuff, and basically a recession happening everywhere else. There is overspending on AI, overinvesting into AI and all of that stuff. Everywhere else, we're seeing a contraction of the economy. Why do I bring that up? Because there are two things that are still really solid money drivers right now, even in that contracting economy. That's porn and gambling. Those are two things that people essentially, be honest with you, what has happened is the proclivities and the industry of the mafia types, because that's what the mafia used to do. The mafia used to do porn and gambling. That now has been corporatized. And now the corporations are the ones that are doing the things that people in the last 100, 200 years, obviously prostitution, sex work, whatever you want to call it, was in there as well. But the industries that they were controlling was bookmaking and that. That's what they controlled. They don't control that anymore, although you see the mob still involved in these poker games. Now that is corporatized. That capitalism controls that. And the appetite for it from people is still as big as it's ever been. That is not changing. That's not going away. And the appetite for sports gambling isn't going away. I think there's also something that's changed and you can tell me if this is true. There's something that's changed in the sports fan. I think the sports fan is as much of a fan of the bullshit of sports than they are of the outcome of games.
I think specifically in NBA. Well, I think specifically in the NBA.
In all sports, but particularly in the NBA, very true.
Football too.
In all sports, I mean, baseball doesn't really have the narrative that lingers about baseball players and stuff when the season is not around. College football has it. College football has an endless cycle of college football news that has nothing to do with the actual game, that has to do with what's going on culturally at institutions and coaching hires and who did this and all of that stuff like that. What Nick Saban said, what Jimbo Fisher said, all of that stuff. All of this stuff, to me, helps the NBA. And I know that that's really weird, but the mentality of the fan has changed. This is a post-reality show, post-Kardashian, TikTok content world. So now, when people see the Asperian thing that Pablo was doing, it makes them then more interested in what the Clippers are going to look like, who's going to ask Kawhi Leonard the question, what's going to happen. When they see stuff like this, now, the next time the Trailblazers play and Chauncey Billups is not on the sideline, people are going to watch that game like crazy because they're going to want to know how the team is responding to a narrative that has nothing to do with basketball. I do not think that people care as much about the integrity of these sports as they used to.
I think you're conflating two different things when you're talking about the Kawhi thing and what's happening right now. Because the Kawhi thing touches on a couple different issues. Whatever happens with the Kawhi thing, it's basically about circumventing the cap, which is
a competitive imbalance.
Yeah, but I think for the average NBA fan, that's already kind of assumed that that's happening. Whereas that doesn't. Yes, it affects wins and losses, right. But they're talking about free agency. That's a totally different thing. When you're talking about somebody that's betting on a game, that's way different than salary cap circumvision. That's two different things to care about.
I disagree, right? And I'll tell you why. Because the fans already have very casual conversations about the competitive, how can I say, the competition in the league. They already have conversations about who's going to win if Scott Foster is reffing the game. They always have conversations about, openly, honestly.
Yeah, but I don't think that the league.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Open, honest conversations about, hey, it's game 4. They lost. The league, Adam Silver made the call. We're going back to game. They already have assumed a lack of competitive integrity in the game. And they've colonialized it almost.
Okay, but that's the fan base, right? The league in general, with antitrust laws and a lot of different things, they have to have the semblance that there is order and that there is fair competition in play. This isn't, I mean, in a lot of ways it is professional wrestling, but by the letter of the law, it's not professional wrestling. So I don't think that it would be a good idea for the leagues to plan and be like, oh yeah, like, hey, we about to fix game 4. That's not, I don't think that is.
I'm not saying that they would do that. What I'm saying is that it seems to me that there's been enough talk about this. The Lakers-Sacramento series from back in the day.
Sure.
Everything that Tim Donaghy said, right? There's been enough talk about the purity of the competition in the NBA to where I think we've seen Deflategate, we've seen Spygate. I just think that the fans are cynical to a degree. They're watching the competition, and of course they would like it to be fair. They would like it to be at a they would like a standard where there couldn't be any meddling or anything like that. I just don't think they care that much. I think it's a black eye for the league. It is embarrassing for the league, but in the grand scheme of things, the only way to really deal with this would be to outlaw prop betting. Even if you kept betting on a spread, betting an under, betting an over, the only way to deal with this would be to outlaw prop betting, and nobody's going to go for that.
Well, the other thing that's like the boogeyman here is like sports betting, and I know this because we're sponsored by sports gambling here, and so that's the boogeyman is that sports betting is now in a place where it's subsidizing all of this stuff, right?
Because it is
huge bread.
It is a really solid and dependable income stream.
In a time where we do not have dependable income streams.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? And so that's why I say the toothpaste is out of the tube, and I don't think that we're getting to another place. But that's two different conversations where you're talking about integrity that a league has to at least promote versus what fans, I think, expect or don't expect from a league.
I mean, is there a way for you said all eyes are on Adam Silver. Is there a way for the league to embrace this?
Embrace like the perceived amount, like they're embracing what, like cheating?
Well, not cheating. But just like sports gambling, I guess.
I mean, they kind of have embraced it. I mean, every time I go to a arena now, it's like, I mean, not in California, but like if I go to a sports arena, like there's live sports betting there. That's happening. Like it's everywhere now, right?
And my point is this: once you do that, this is my point. There's reasons why they did that. One reason why they did that is just because of the money, obviously, but also there's a changing fan base now. There's a different way to promote your league. 1985, whatever it was, Pete Rose betting on baseball. You have to do something draconian. You have to give Pete Rose a lifetime ban from baseball to where the hit king of the MLB is not in the Hall of Fame because he bet on games. Because it was that important. The pure competition of the game was that important to the fan. I just do not think.
So do you think the league? No. Then do you think the league doesn't care about the competition anymore?
I think that they do care, right? I think that they definitely care, but they care about the competition of the league in a different way.
I mean, honestly though, the test is if a star gets caught. I mean, respect to Terry Rozier. He was, before this happened, and watching him, he was one of my favorite players to watch, honestly. But like, if this happened to like a Steph, right? If he got caught up in something like this, and it was like a smoking gun, and they have like Cash Patel doing press conferences about Steph Curry, that would be a real test for the league and how they think. Because you just brought up Pete Rose, they had to do something, right? And Jonte Porter, they gave him a lifetime ban a year ago. How many lifetime bans can you give if this continues to recur, right? Like that's the question.
I guess what I'm saying about all of this is, and the Porter's an easy mark, and your point is well taken. But what I'm saying is, there's nothing that they can do. There's nothing that they will do.
Yeah, there's something that they can do.
What is that?
Give a lifetime ban. There's precedent that's already been set.
I know. But what I'm saying is, they could give a lifetime ban. What they can't do and what they won't do is stop the commingling of sports gambling and professional sports. They can't do it. Like, there about to be three professional sports teams in Las Vegas. The A's are moving there. The Raiders are already there. They have the Aces. It used to be that one of the big taboos about having professional sports in Las Vegas was the proximity to gambling and what they thought their players would be into. It's over. This will happen. The leagues will accept it. What they can do in order to not have this conversation dominate the start of their season is Chauncey's done. Damon Jones is done. Terry Rozier is done. All of that's cool. Those steps don't even matter. What would matter is the league saying, hey, or the league working with the gambling companies and saying, hey, there's no prop betting. You can't have any prop betting. Because prop betting is the one thing, the micro bets are the one thing that the player is most enticed to do. Hey, you know what? It's one thing to change, if Tony from Blue Chips, is one thing to change the spread of the game. You might have the power to do that. You might not have the power to do that. To do that, you need to get to somebody that has a real impact on the competition of the game.
Yep.
So you would have to, if you wanted to change the spread of the game, you might have to get to Steph. You
might get to a coach.
Or get to a coach, somebody that has the ball in their hand. You might have to get to
somebody who has power to call a timeout.
Or a ref.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me that this bet is basically about
5 rebounds or 4. Vanny,
anybody can do that.
Can you get 5 rebounds in an NBA game right now?
Is there a way?
You don't think of?
I don't rebound.
It's just,
it's too hard on my body.
Is there a way, and this might be impossible, is there a way to, I don't know, monitor the players in a certain way to where, I don't even know if this is possible. I'm just trying to figure out a way. Stop looking at me like that.
Put a chip in them?
No, but just like
Antichrist Rachel?
They can't even monitor them.
I don't even know how.
You've heard of it. Y'all live. Hold on, y'all live in LA a long time.
Let me tell you where my mind is going.
In their bodies, Antichrist
Let me tell you where my mind is going.
Y'all lived in LA a long time. Y'all know the LA games.
Rachel
are they monitoring their players in LA?
Rachel is all to the left. She's all a leftist till it comes to sports. Now she want to put a chip in the players.
I'm really trying to figure out how to do, like,
big brother, big sister.
She turned left.
I mean, how did
she's
they
left
catch
this whole time, and then Texas come out when she.
Wait.
She
how did they catch Terry? Do we know? Like, what was
there was a 2-year investigation where they looked at the fact that sometimes a nigga would just throw the ball out of bounds.
See, there's some player, but see, here's the other thing. And that can work.
It'll be like Terry Rozier lines up a shot and he just kicked that bitch out the fucking sands.
I just saw where he like
what
left
the fuck is going on?
Was hurt. Like he would leave games because he was injured.
He over here
like, hey, take me out. Terry did not do a good job. Terry did not do a good job of hiding it.
Now, I have a question for you. Do you think you would have done a good job of hiding the prop bets if you were doing it?
Nah. Not in that type of situation.
He wouldn't have gotten that much playing time.
That's true. Probably not. But the time
What's the most playing time you've gotten in any sort of regulation basketball?
I was never not a starter in anything I've ever done. So yeah, I mean, it's just a fact. Like I was never not a starter in anything I've ever done.
You feel me?
Yeah. So
all right, my bad.
I'm gonna be out there. I'm a factor, nigga. But seriously though, and the reason why I'm approaching this like this is because, and this might be TMZ brain, I might be TMZ pilled on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, it's like, take the experience story, which you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Pablo Walter Cronkite Torre. Take that story. That story dominated the NBA offseason, right? Dominated the NBA offseason. There's a lot of things that are happening in the NBA offseason that are interesting from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah.
But what dominated? The bullshit. Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick dominated the college football offseason. There were a lot of things, but what dominated? The bullshit. We have changed. And these things that are about everyone wants to go and watch these games and really be involved in the competition. They do. And I'm not saying that that's completely and totally gone. But what I'm saying is like, people just have different appetites for this stuff than they used to.
Because sports intersects with so many different
when
things
did that
now.
change though? Okay, because you got you know a lot of shit that I don't even want to get into with the TMZ life. But and you've obviously.
When did it change?
When did it change? Right? Because I feel growing up, it always was like the reality shows, and then, you know, there's the other side where it's like, oh, we're just buttoned up and we're above reproach. But now it's like now it's together. Now everybody's with the bullshit. So like, was it pandemic? Was it?
No,
it was before then.
Okay.
I tell you what it was. I'm gonna give you an example of something real quick. So do you guys know? You guys are now aware of the little crawl that runs underneath ESPN and all of that stuff.
The ticker.
The ticker.
The ticker.
The ticker.
The Chiron.
Ticker.
It runs underneath there. So Fox has one. It runs, the news is under there, right? The news is under there. Fox did not have that little news crawl that I can remember prior to 9/11. 9/11 happens, and then we are so shaken by everything that's happening. We want to know every single bit of news. Have they caught these guys? Are there other cities? How is the cleanup going? Are they still finding people? What happens now?
Wait, quick. I know you want to talk. Do you think it was 9/11 or like, because Bill Clinton comes to mind as well? Do you think that it may be a little bit before then?
It's not.
It wasn't that? Okay.
So it's one story that demands near 24-hour news coverage. 24 hours news coverage. The 24-hour news cycle, to me, is born out of that type of coverage. The 24-hour news cycle, the 365 news cycle, 24/7, 365, you just cannot cover the game that much. There's not enough in the game to cover. There's not enough in football to cover. In a player, if you take a Kobe or a LeBron or any of these guys, there's not enough basketball to run a 24/7 news cycle on these guys. You got to cover their business moves. You got to cover their relationships. You got to cover where they're going on vacation. How many times in the 80s and 90s did we see Michael Jordan on vacation with his family? Never. But we see LeBron in Anguilla. We know who LeBron's friends are. We know like the people he grew up with.
But also, I think LeBron also feeds into that. I think
100% LeBron in basketball. And I think it's also with the connection of Facebook started a year after LeBron.
Yeah.
Like Facebook was 2004. So I think the way we follow LeBron, the commercials that were out there, the way he is referred to as a savior, the way every single move of LeBron we knew about. I hadn't really seen that before, also with the rise of social media, the internet, all of that. For football, but I'm going to say the Cowboys. The way the Cowboys were followed, the way they became superstars off the field, all their interaction, all the trouble, all of like the hoopla that Jerry Jones built around it, I'm going to say it was the Cowboys when things started, the way we talked about football changed.
Sure. I think, you know, it's funny. You brought up LeBron, but LeBron was brought up, and I wrote a story on theringer.com. Make sure you go check that out. Where you're talking about Gen Z's relationship with the current NBA. And I was talking to a lot of like streamers, and one of them said, you know, we love LeBron is one of our favorites. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Why? Because he's literally the oldest player in the league. I was figured it'd be like somebody young. They like Shea, but not on the level of LeBron. They love the two names were LeBron and Steph, but LeBron was number one for this particular streamer. And I asked, like, why? He was like, because he meets us where we are. And he does the Instagram stories. Now he's doing the Kai Cenat, right? He puts himself where we are and comes on our home turf. And it feels like we have that relationship with him because of that. Jerry Jones, I feels like, is the same way for a certain group of people, right? I remember watching the game, the Cowboys Packers game, and fucking Jerry Jones, every time there was a camera, he's like, yo, I'm trying to speak on this. I'm trying to speak on this Parsons thing. I'm trying to tell my side of the story, right? And that there's a little bit of politics in that, right? Like, you know, you want to get in front of the story or make yourself. The Netflix documentary was perfect propaganda for Jerry Jones. Whether like it was the story versus Jerry Jones's eyes of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, made him very likable.
And I think that is something that for, you know, I know we started with gambling, but this is an interesting conversation to have. I think it started as a thing to get your narrative out there, but I think that that's going to be the new news cycle as we go into, and the way it goes, it's like who gets in front of a camera first and tells their story first, basically is who's going to be believed right now. That's where it seems like it's going.
it wouldn't have mattered who it would have been. The appetite of people changed. The culture changed. The reason why LeBron does all of that stuff is because he has to. He could choose to be Kawhi Leonard, but competing to be the number one athlete is not about the amount of commercials that you have anymore. It's about the immersion into people's lives that you could have.
Mm-hmm.
When we were at TMZ, it was about being quick, fast, on top of culture, and realizing something. I'll give you an example of a story here. LeBron James himself, or somebody, I think it was LeBron, he's leaving an event. And camera pulls up on LeBron, asks him a question. He does not talk. He wasn't really into talking to the cameras. He does not talk. But he gets into an expensive car. I look at the story, I'm like, damn, we don't have a story. LeBron didn't say nothing. Evan, one of the most brilliant guys that I've ever worked with at TMZ, Evan Rosenblum, challenging to work for Evan. He was a tough manager, but he could look at a story and be like, people are going to care. He goes, no, there's a story in there. The story is the car. He goes, what kind of car is that? We look up the car was like $300,000 or something like that. The story then is LeBron James gets into that car. LeBron James in that car driving away. How fancy the fucking car is the story. The only reason why that story is a story is because of the appetite from people about how he's living.
Yeah.
The 24-hour news cycle to me, I actually believe begins, you could maybe say Monica Lewinsky, that's actually a decent point, but I really do think that it's 9/11. I think that the 24-hour news cycle kind of begins with 9/11, but our obsession with the lifestyles of famous people has pretty much always existed, except we did not have the technology to keep tabs on them the way we do now. All of this affects how we relate to the thing that we're a fan of. You just mentioned the Cowboys.
Right.
The Cowboys are still one of the number one sports stories in the entire world. They have not won a Super Bowl since Tupac was alive.
Right.
Man, my Raiders got to the Super Bowl before y'all.
And the reality of that is that it doesn't matter if they get to the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. You don't have to win at this particular point. The game doesn't have to be pure. The drama, the fuckery, the story,
which is why
all
I
of
was
this
pointing
stuff.
to a particular thing.
It
The
matters.
Cowboys
It matters
happened before
more
Monica
than any of that
Lewinsky
stuff.
happened before. That's why I'm pointing to like a specific time in sports.
Yeah, but we never
I'ma
give a
be
fuck
honest,
about
though.
them like that, though.
I'm gonna be honest though.
We never gave a the Cowboys were a sports, but I don't want you to be like everybody was around sitting there going, "Hey,
when
what's up with
Michael Irvin got arrested and all the drugs,
me
that
tell you
was a huge story.
It was.
That
It wasn't
a
no Michael
huge-
Lewinsky.
He went to trial.
You know what's funny about that?
The strippers were testifying.
You remember when he got off from it? This was one of the
The
funniest.
cop tried to kill him.
This
Come
one
on,
of
it
the
was so
funniest. This is one of the funniest. Michael Irvin is a legend. This is one of the funniest fucking news conferences. Talked to reporters ever since. Michael Irvin was like, he was talking about the fact that he was exonerated like it was a football game. He was like, now, don't lose the intensity. I want you to report it with the same intensity. Don't lose the intensity. I was like,
He was like, why the fuck am I wanting to go to the gym
I
right
was
now?
like, yeah, he had me fired up. He was like, don't lose the intensity. The same intensity. I was like, whoa. But we ain't give a fuck about him like that.
Oh, wait, no, I want to. So I get what you're saying on like since 9/11, but the more I think about it, this phenomenon with like celebrity and celebrities feeding into the news cycle has happened for so long. I'm thinking about Michael Jackson and the hyperbolic chamber, right? When you get the picture dropped in the tabloid of Michael Jackson being in that hyperbaric chamber. Like I remember, reading stories about how, his manager fed that to the tabloid, and so Michael can be like, "That's not true. That's not true." But what did it do? It gave more attention to Michael when he was not on an album cycle. Like these things tend to happen. And we brought up the Cowboys. We're in Los Angeles right now. The Lakers are in the same breath when it comes to manufactured drama, right? Where like they have the second most rings or second most championships in NBA history, but you would think that it was more of an impact than the Celtics because they are in LA in this media capital. And Magic Johnson, another guy who is someone that loves to be in front of a camera, right? This is something that, and we were always intrigued with his personal life and what he was doing and the goings-ons in the Forum Club, right?
It's different.
I don't think it's different. I think the apparatus and means to finding
That's what's
these
different.
things is
So I
different.
said-
But I think the behavior and because staying famous is a job, bro. It's not something
That's true.
it's not something that you just do. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
a job. To be famous,
Yes,
You guys
I
are
agree
fucking
with
it. Like it used to
but
be.
it always has been a job to be famous,
It used to be. It's always been a job,
to maintain it.
but there used to be so much less that you had to do to actually do
Of
it.
course.
There, like,
But-
and what I'm saying is they've always
But that goes to my point that the apparatus has changed, but behaviors haven't necessarily
the
changed.
behaviors have changed. The behaviors of fame. We're essentially saying the same thing, and I essentially said this before. Like the technology to keep up with a celebrity has changed, but because that technology has changed, that means you can't do the Barbara Walters interview once a year and have it be a thing, and then get papped a couple other times. And then another part of this was, and this is the last thing, we're kind of off the whole subject. We'll come back to it. Another thing about this is that the stuff that you put out used to matter a lot, meaning that when you sat down and did Johnny Carson or did Barbara Walters or did some of this stuff, there was a movie behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a rock album behind it. Some of these people would go away between the times that they had stuff out. You wouldn't see them for a while. And then that gave them the opportunity to reinvent themselves, because when they came out, they were wearing different shit. They looked different. Their hair was different. Like if you look at the eras of Madonna, one reason why Madonna was able to continuously reinvent herself is because we weren't looking at Madonna every day. So when Madonna popped up and it was Ray of Light, and we're like, oh shit, she on some weird, different type of shit, it was different. When Janet popped up and if it was Velvet Rope, we weren't seeing Janet Jackson every single day. So when we saw Janet Jackson again, man, when That's the Way Love Goes came out, I was like, oh shit. I hadn't seen Janet Jackson every single day.
What was that? Oh shit! What was oh shit?
Janet all growed it up. The If video came out, I was like, that's my one. That's my one. Like Janet all grew up. But what I'm saying is now, you can't do that. You need to post 4 times a week. You can't let them do that.
I don't believe
certain people can get away with that type of shit. And the ones that want The Rock is gonna stay in your face. LeBron is gonna stay in your face. Like the ones that are out there and fame is a part of the liquor that they're selling you and the fucking the products that they're selling you and all of that, those people, they have to keep doing this. And this all comes back to the fact that capitalism has, I swear to God.
No. I like that you brought it back.
Capitalism has shifted our connection to competition, to leagues, to celebrity, and all of that stuff that only the story matters. Only this fucking story matters now. Like nothing, man, they throw in the games. If we found out right now that the first 5 games was fake and the NBA had put the fix in, people would not stop watching the NBA. They would be more invested into what's going on with the league because of the drama surrounding it.
For outside of the game. Yes, I understand what you're saying. All right.
Logan.
So what happens?
Who's gonna what happens now?
What happens? Well, Chauncey's done.
Chauncey's done.
Yeah,
Chauncey's for sure done.
Damn, Chauncey.
Terry's done if it gets
Terry
over.
out.
Yeah, that's what we already said was gonna happen. You just did the whole. I got to use that for real ones. I got to scare the shit out of Howard.
What?
Just out of nowhere, just bang tables for no reason. Are you okay? Are you good?
Thank you for asking.
How many years you guys been doing this?
A while now.
Are you all right?
I am hardened to it.
Okay. How many years did it take for you to?
See what I'm saying?
Jesus Christ.
See what I'm saying?
Rachel putting chips in people.
The first 2 years of our podcast was Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, same, for sure. Okay.
Man, the first 2 years of our podcast, I was in and out of major depressive episodes. I don't know if you guys, I want you guys to go back and look at some of the time. I'll go back and look at some of the podcasts
we were
now.
Crying.
Yeah.
The pandemic was a wild time.
I want you guys to go back and look
it.
at some of the old higher learnings with me, and it'd be like, What's up, Thought Warriors?
Bro.
My shit is all grown out. Rachel looked great because you were on the set of Extra a lot of times. But I'll be like, what's up, Thought Warriors? How you doing?
Bro, I did some, there's some shit in the pandemic, bro, that like I just can't go back to. One night, like I read some shit that I wrote during the pandemic that was hella personal that I put out into the ether, and I read it and I was like, yo, what the fuck did I just say?
But we were all going
We
through
was
it.
all
It
locked in.
resonated. We
It
were like, we
resonated.
get you.
But I was like, yo, I did this. This is here. Okay. All right.
Logan is one of my true niggas here. I want to ask Logan about something off the scope of this. I want to ask Logan about something that's off the scope of this. So, Logan, if y'all look at Logan right now, I'm gonna give Logan the opportunity to talk to the whole audience right now, because Logan is one of my young G's, right? If y'all look at Logan right now, Logan, he wears fingernail polish and paint. Show the people.
Yeah.
Logan
That's
wears
a
that.
design.
You seen
Yeah,
That's nice.
but his
I
shit
like
is
it.
crazy, right? So, for the guys that are my age and older that criticize athletes like Caleb Williams, that I can't think of, there's some other ones too. Who are the
You
notorious?
mean the ones that wore fishnets in 1982 and loved Prince and wore heels?
Talk about it.
Are we talking about them?
Talk to him.
Bro, I remember, I'm going to put him on blast, but it's cool. I love him. My Uncle Money, I got an uncle named Uncle Money.
Okay.
Like, who among us doesn't? Right? He's one of my favorite people. I remember, he's like, man's man, right? And I remember him during the Prince Super Bowl halftime show. Me and my little cousin, we just went outside to just go, hoop. Like, it's like, it's a break. And to hear him go, yo, and like, Prince he had that shit on, but he had that shit on, right?
He was androgynous.
But to see this dude from Central California just fawn and be like, yo, I love Prince after all the stuff that he would say about, the generation before us, how they would talk about masculinity. It was wild. And then I was just like,
but do
y'all some hypocrites.
This is my thing.
They wore tight ass leather.
They did.
How you wear tight ass leather in the middle of August?
But look, though,
and then talk about me and these fly ass nails.
Right now.
It wasn't even just that, bro. This is the thing.
Was.
No. Here's the other thing, bro. Like, I feel like a lot of people would say, it's funny looking at it in hindsight how we think about sexuality and how men talk about sexuality in general. But it was always there. Like, I was listening to Biggie and he told the girl, "You look so good. I'm gonna suck on your daddy's."
Biggie has several verses.
This happens, right? But this was always in front of us, right?
Big said that.
Big said that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is what I'm saying.
But like, it's always been there,
but specifically
right?
about Prince, what I used to hear from my uncles and people around was like, hey, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I say what y'all want about Prince. But they looked at Vanity and Apollonia and
Sheila E. Shout out to the Oakland.
And like, they looked at all of these women as these unattainable, really light skinned, these unattainable goddesses, these beautiful, gorgeous, and they also were surrounded by women who loved Prince so much that they made what I call the Prince exception, to where
But
Prince,
no, it wasn't even just that. Jamie Foxx has a stand-up where he talks about how, like, he kind of got attracted to Prince.
Prince
was like,
glamored him.
like,
and by the way,
had the aura, couldn't even take it no more.
And honestly, what I'm saying is Prince.
I'm just saying it's always been there. Like,
I know it's always been there, but there is, and what I guess I'm trying to put my finger on is, it's not about who does get the Prince exception, because Prince gets it. And you could make the argument that Rick James got it, because when you see Rick James and some of the rock stars and some of the other people got it, the interesting thing is who doesn't get it. And it's anyone who is directly connected to something that men feel like is masculine.
You know
like
what? You want to know?
Football, rap, things like that are hyper masculine. They sometimes hold on a little closer to those things.
But like, man, the reason why I started painting my nails, and it was during the pandemic, but it was just like more of, like, I'm a straight cis male, right? And I like my nails. I liked how it looked.
You like the way the shit looked?
But also, it was just like, confronting the hypocrisy that like all my big homies would say towards homophobia. Is like, I'm not that, and I like this.
I think that's one of the most masculine things that you can do.
Be your own motherfucker.
Not care how people label you.
Because that's really what it is, though, right?
And just standing in who you are.
Straight
To
up.
me, that is one of the most attractive things. And I think that that's what comes out with Prince. It's like, this is who I am. I know who I am. I'm not going to let you define me. In addition to all the other stuff you're saying, I think that and his aura, I think that that's what draws women to that. I would argue, though, when you're talking about masculinity, or you said you have the excuse isn't given to someone who is attached to what is deemed masculine, like sports, and then you said rappers get away with wearing dresses and painting their nails and all of that too.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Young Thug?
No, they don't.
No, this is what
Young Thug?
He didn't get away with it. It was a non-stop, incessant conversation.
But he moved past it.
I understand. Just like Caleb Williams is, when you say get away with it, it'd have been like, oh, that's just Thug. No, it was a non-stop, ever-present, incessant conversation about the fact that Thug liked dress. Like Troy Ave came out, called all the guys weirdos. It was a non-stop conversation.
But it also set up, like when he did it and didn't let it faze him, then you saw people wearing pearls. You saw people wearing long, like he opened the door for it to be acceptable. He was like the first one to really do it with the album cover and everything. But because he didn't let it bother him and it didn't affect the music and people were still into it, it opened up the door for a whole generation of rappers to paint their nails, to wear their jewelry in ways that we hadn't seen like that before. So he got the Prince exception.
This is what I'll say about this. Number one, I think that if you were really paying attention or even not paying attention, Young Thug, particularly Young Thug, because I could go back before when Wayne started wearing the tight pants and all of that stuff like that. Young Thug particularly just beat people down with the quality of the music. He just continued. Beat people down with the quality of the music. Beat people down with the quality of the music. That's one thing. Another thing is when you would talk to people about Young Thug out of Atlanta and you would ask them, what's up with the guy in Atlanta that wears the dresses? The people in Atlanta would tell you,
better not
hey,
fuck with him.
just to let you know, that guy is not one to be fucked around with.
Yeah.
And that street shit goes very far in terms of that. I'm saying that all of this stuff is true, but this stuff, the reason why we're talking about this stuff, this generation of guys is the reason why we're talking about it. Some of them don't, Young Thug doesn't really dress that way anymore, number one.
Yeah, he does.
But I will say that this was the conversation. That conversation is why we're having this conversation, because Caleb Williams and Logan and some of the other guys, Jalen Green, those guys, these are the guys they looked up to. So the conversation hasn't stopped. They might not be there anymore, but the conversation.
Also, man, it's fucking fly, bro. My nails is popping.
I like them.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you, buddy. But
Yeah.
like that's.
I wax my balls.
I didn't want to. Why do I need to hear that shit, bro?
The audience sadly has been the audience has been subjected to it.
But like, why? You didn't have to do that though.
I was trying to.
You're trying to. Was that your way of leveling with me?
It was.
I was trying to be in community with you.
It was.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm happy. Hey, yo, my man, I'm happy for you, bro.
I was
Live your
trying.
truth.
See what you just did? I was trying to be in a community with you.
No, you were trying to have shot. No, what you were trying to do was be shocking.
I was trying to be in community with you. I went and got a wax, and now I like the shit.
We are so far off, which is the sign of a good conversation.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation with Logan.
But once we get to the balls, we gotta
free me from.
You know what?
Well, because we've already talked about it on the podcast.
But I know we've talked about it, but this is the fake shit that I be talking about. It's like we can talk about with a lot of gumption and support when somebody wants to paint their nails and dress androgynous and all of that stuff, and I support all of that.
But you literally it was an HR violation.
A 275-pound man saying that he
HR.
waxes his balls, that's too far. I like to feel pretty too.
I'm happy
thick. I'm thick.
That's great.
And my thighs is thick and they feel better. I'm a thick nigga. Okay? And I feel better when my balls is waxed, and y'all not taking it from me.
We're not.
Y'all not taking it from me.
You said it took 2 years.
Nobody's taking it from me.
You said it took 2 years.
I don't know if I'm there yet.
Okay.
If I'm honest.
You got people in the background right now with their hands on their faces
I'm a
talking
thick
about.
nigga, and I like my balls waxed. That's it.
Hey, you want to?
I'm not moving off of it for Logan.
Hey.
For the Antichrist,
for
anybody.
When you come to the Bay, you want to hit my nail lady, bro? You want to
Hell
get your shit
yeah.
popping? I got you
yeah.
too. Hold on, let me see.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
go to
you
the
know,
nail cam. Where we at?
I keep a fresh set of
My
nails.
dad didn't even understand the manicure. He was like, why do you get a manicure?
Well, no, here's the thing. Also, some other stuff though, right? Which is hella funny. The first person I saw with their nails like was a pimp on International, bro.
Yeah.
You won 4 in Oakland. Like that was the first. Like if we keeping it a bean.
I'm gonna be real with you. I think pimps get the Prince exception.
Oh, pimps
for
do.
sure get the
Pimps
Prince exception.
absolutely
But once
do.
again, that exception that they
Absolutely.
get is because of their proximity to what guys think.
This is the other
is
thing.
like
with the women. Yes, yes,
also
for
with,
sure,
with,
for
no,
sure.
What the thing is though, guys will say that stuff, right? Like Young Thug is a great example of this, right? Where guys will try to talk hella stuff about you, and then they realize they can't kick your ass, and then they'll be like, okay,
Yeah, that's
fine.
it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of dudes
The way
also
you dress
felt
or
like,
wear your nails has nothing to do
All right, Logan, tell them where they can find you, bro.
with.
this is you can find me every Tuesday and Friday on Real Ones with Howard motherfucking Beck and Raja Bell. We about to go on Netflix, bro. I'm hella
I
juiced
heard about that.
Tap in with that at the top of the year.
Yeah, right.
I'm Logie Boo, not the 2. Logan Murdock. I will be here twice a week, and I'm gonna be back here one day. You know what I'm saying? It was really dope, man.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
Y'all,
Logan,
man.
my
You know what I
guy.
mean? I'm about to be in the cut taking notes though too, because we trying to get our show popping and improved. So
There we go. All right, peace. We gonna hit y'all with some more shit. I'll talk about Emmanuel Acho.
and talk about your balls too.
More
We're
ball
done.
talk.
We're
More ball
done.
talk.
We're
All right,
done.
peace. All right, one more thing before we get out of here, Rach.
What's that?
Really interested in this.
What?
Say Entertainment Heavy Show. Keke Palmer.
Yeah.
New Key TV series, Southern Fried Chicken. Southern Fried
Rice.
the Southern Fried Chicken. Southern Fried Rice. She has her own Keke Palmer has her own network, Key TV. She's a mogul.
Yeah.
She's got a show coming out called Southern Fried Rice, and the show seemingly centers on an Asian lady that's going to an HBCU.
Right.
And people were not, they were nonplussed about this. They didn't like this. They were like, why are you centering the Asian experience at an HBCU? What the fuck is going on? What about us? We've been stomping and shimmying and Delta Phi Delta
it was also
action for a long time.
It's Delta Sigma Theta.
Delta
Please put some
Sigma-
respect on
Delta
our
Sigma Rho?
sorority.
Delta Sigma Rho? Delta Pi? Delta
I'll let them come after you.
who? I've been
My
fucking with
deltas.
I've been
Clearly,
fucking with the deltas.
the wrong ones, it sounds like, because you ain't naming our sorority.
I know what a Delta Sigma Theta is. My numbers are really good with the deltas. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ew. Okay. Anyways. Ew. What people were complaining about was that Keke Palmer started Key TV, and she did it because she wanted to promote creators of color. She wanted to push those stories, those people who may not be getting the opportunities in other places. And so people were like, oh my gosh, they saw this trailer that dropped. They saw that it's centered around an Asian woman and her story being adopted by Black people and then going to an HBCU. And they just blew up over it. And what I would say to people, you got to stop before you go in. And I have to take that advice sometimes too, right? Shut the fuck up. Would you like for me to go in on you right now?
Please, no. I don't want that.
No. But we do have to stop before we go in. You have to do your research, because if you would have known that this story came from a Black creator. So yes, you might be watching where an Asian woman is at the center of it, but this is a story that came from a Black creator, a Black woman. And then Keke goes on, because Keke responded to this.
Keke. Play Keke's sound right now.
Hey, you guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on Key TV that is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nakia Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. I mean, Nakia has written, show ran, and produced 4 shows alongside her Damn Right Originals team with Key TV. And Key TV has proudly invested over $500,000 on her creations. And I say that because it's not easy to obtain that kind of investment. And Key TV, this is the ethos of the company. It's a network not just because it has stars and shows or has talent, but because it's about the people who create the shows and connecting them. I mean, we have Alex King, a Black queer creator that made the short film Keep Me in Mind. We have Antoine Lachey, who created the horror story Blue Forest. We have Cousin M by a father and son duo, Rosero and Eric McCoy. Chelsea Sanders, who created Make It Make Sense and Unlabeled by Lawrence Murray. Chelsea also did Dear Keke. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of Black creatives is not. And it's a task that KeyTV takes on with pride, because if you want to be a creative, you have to be able to create. And that takes money. And it's KeyTV's mission to find the funds for you to be in practice, for you to experience trial and error, and to take your projects off the page and get more than one chance to do it in action. So whether you like it all or some or none, I say give these creatives a chance to grow as we continue to grow in supporting them. So God bless you guys. And like I said, Nakia has Southern Fried Rice that's coming out most recently, but she has Nepotista, Hoe and Tails, and Psychology of Fuckboys. That's also some great stuff for you to check out. Take care. Thanks for listening. Holla at your girl.
And it's a shame that Keke even had to go here and respond to all of this and explain herself of who was behind it, all the other Black shows that she plans to roll out. And the money, like Keke put $500,000 behind this creator. Like she's doing exactly the thing that she said she was going to do. And I feel like sometimes people just look, as beloved as Keke is in the culture, in the community, as we've been talking about on the show, I think sometimes people just look for a reason to hate on Keke. Keke is putting out Black content. And I didn't go to an HBCU. I'm not familiar with this, but just because you might not be familiar with this exact story about a non-Black attending an HBCU, it doesn't mean, one, that this story doesn't exist or that this story shouldn't be told. It just should. Like, I just didn't understand what the big deal was, especially knowing the money that Keke is putting behind this Black creator who might not otherwise have been able to tell her story, and Keke is giving her the opportunity to do it. Or a story, I should say.
I definitely understand the big deal. 1,000%.
So he's gonna other himself because I didn't go to HBCU.
I'm not about to do that. See how she jumped off this, and nobody look at Hazel.
Don't look for support. Don't bring Hazel into this. You brought her in the wrong way last podcast.
Like, look at Hazel. Hazel's like, why?
I walked in. Hazel had to defend herself when I walked in
Hazel
about the
shook
pork.
her head at that bacon. She don't know.
No, she already explained it to me.
So I do understand the big deal, but that doesn't mean. I mean, okay. Let me give you an example of something. This is different. So we come from a Diana Ross loving house.
Mm-hmm.
We love Diana Ross.
Yeah.
My mama think Diana Ross best lady in the world.
She's amazing.
We love Diana Ross. But you know what else I heard? I heard my mother, every time The Wiz was on, every single time The Wiz played, my mother would say, Stephanie Mills should have played Dorothy in The Wiz.
Mm.
Because she played Dorothy on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they made the movie, Motown made the movie. And Berry Gordy put Diana Ross in the role. So what I'm saying is that I grew up listening to my mom have a cultural conversation about what she thought was fair and right about The Wiz. The only difference is there was no Twitter. So if you put that on Twitter, 1985, whatever the fuck it was when we was watching that bitch, 1986, then somebody goes, yes and, yes and,
Mm-hmm.
yes and. Now you have a conversation about art and culture that is a big enough thing to where somebody has to address it. That exists now, didn't exist then. But these conversations about what we feel like is right and appropriate in the art that our artists make have always existed.
Sure.
And they are a part of the community self-checking itself as far as what we think we're deserved from the people that we've empowered.
Do you think, because she's, the main person in it, and then it's a Black cast surrounding her, Black creators, Black writer, Black, the story of a white woman at a historically Black college university. Asian woman at an HBCU.
That's what fried
Do
rice
you
is.
think that if Keke had, so she goes on, in that clip, she says, this creator has so many other shows. Do you think that if this had not been the first one, that the reaction would have been the same? Is it the timing of it all? Like, we've been waiting to see what kind of content we're going to get from KeyTV. We know it's supposed to be all about us, for us, by us, and then bam, you release Southern Fried Rice. Do you think that was the reaction instead of if it had been a different show? And then people would have been like, okay, well, she gave us this.
I don't know.
Is it this show or is it the timing?
It's probably the show and the timing. I'll tell you. So I did a comment autopsy I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I went under Keke's comments. And I saw what I thought I was going to see, which is a lot of people with the blue checks that are in the industry going, Keke, you do your thing. You go ahead and go. All these people do is look for something to complain and all of this. And a lot of the people that don't have blue checks going, wait a minute, use some discernment. This is a conversation that matters to us. And we feel like we feel. I'm not saying that it's 100% on one side and 100% on the other side, but what you saw was artists defending artists and people defending their portrayal, which makes a lot of sense. What people don't understand sometimes is artists, people who make art and support art, they want the ability to tell whatever kind of story they want to tell.
Sure.
When I was having the conversations about one battle after another, what people would say is that, hey, they should be able to write a movie and write a character that is not exactly reflective of what you think the best traits of Black women are. And that character should be able to exist. That character should be able to go out there and be portrayed by a Black actress, a brilliant Black actress, and we should be able to live with that. You should be able to live with that portrayal. And it's not always about cultural responsibility and accuracy every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I get that and I understand that. At the same time, there are other things that have to be considered as well. For example, white people have these fish out of water stories, right? Where somebody goes into a different situation and but they also have a different type of story. They have a fish into nigga story. Cadence. You ever see that movie? Cadence is with Charlie Sheen, Lawrence Fishburne, Michael Beach, Martin Sheen. Michael Beach, the man.
Which, is he playing his typical role?
Nah, Michael Beach is the man in Cadence. Michael Beach is the man. First of all,
I know, we've talked about him, but you know,
Michael
he
Beach.
makes, so I look
One
at
false
him
move,
and I get angry.
He did 2 roles.
I get angry
He did
when
2
I
roles.
see
Michael
him.
Beach is the man. He is.
I'm not denying it.
But Cadence is Charlie Sheen. He's in the military. He gets sent to military prison for something that he does, and he meets a group of military prisoners that have their own off-kilter way of doing their thing. You know, they dance. Oh, don't you know that's the sound of the man? Get back, working on the chain. Go watch Cadence if you haven't.
So
and then
it's a chain gang.
they are it's not a chain gang. They have military jobs in the prison, and they do their jobs and do their thing with a certain exuberance, and it's really about their bond and their thing and how Charlie Sheen's character gets in with them. It's a great movie. One of the types of movies they don't really make anymore. And we've also seen other fish into nigga stories. Say The Last Dance. Fish into nigga, right? She wants to dance. She's around a bunch of niggas, and then she becomes a fish into nigga dancing with them.
What about Soul Man? Is that what it's called?
Soul Man?
Is that what it's called?
Soul Man is kind of a fish into nigga story, but it's actually fish into nigga into white man. So we've seen these stories before.
Yeah.
We've seen these stories where a Black person or white person gets put into an all-Black area, and then the culture of that place, whatever they're in, gets litigated through the eyes of somebody that's not Black. What if we've just fucking had enough of that? What if what we want now, or some people, not everybody, is Black people centered in Black places telling their Black ass stories? What if we don't want to know what a white lady would do? I love to say The Last Dance, y'all. Okay. I love that shit. What if
in there?
What if she was dancing there, motherfucker? What if there are some people that say, and not that there haven't been movies like that, not that there haven't been School Days, not that there was Burning Sands. Remember that one? There was Steps. They've made movies at Black colleges before and stuff like that.
Yeah, think of the dance ones.
I know, but what if what people are saying is
Stomp the Yard. That's what.
Stomp the Yard. Oh, Stomp the Yard.
Stomp the Yard. So
What if what people are saying is we would like to be centered in stories that are about us. We would like to be the main thing, and
that's their prerogative.
That's their prerogative. And look, if you are making content and this is your audience, and I think Keke did this, Keke didn't ignore that. Keke engaged in conversation with those people. She engaged in conversation with people who might be off-put by that. But there's a chance that we've seen fish into nigga enough, and that we don't want it no more, and that particularly in this time right now, the larger question that people are asking is, why didn't you see that this would annoy us? Like why didn't you see that in a time where all of this is being turned down, that this would annoy us? That does not mean the artists have to acquiesce. If you have a story that you feel like is genuine and authentic about this, does not mean does not mean that this show should not exist. That does not mean that anybody should kowtow to any pressure. That just means that criticism is genuine. And engaging with that criticism, once again, like I said earlier, is a part of community. And that's just what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And so
I get that argument. If I get the point, I should say. If the point is we just don't want to see this right now, fine. But what I saw a lot of was attacking Keke and Key TV and what it is she's trying to do there without the knowledge of understanding who's behind the show. But I understand, that's why I say it's the prerogative of, if this isn't the type of content you want to see, totally fair. You can have your opinion on it. You don't have to watch it. But don't attack someone who is trying to create something for Black creators.
Let me tell you why. It's not attack. It's not attack. Let me tell you.
They were attacking
So we made Two Distant Strangers, right? Me and the crew. Shout out to the crew. Man, shout out 6 Feet Under, 6 Feet Over. I always say under. Shout out 6 Feet Over.
Yeah,
Nick May.
please stop
Nicholas,
saying that.
Nick May.
Please.
Trayvon Free. Shout out Dirty Robert, Martin Desmond Rose. Shout out Mickey. Shout out everybody that's involved, man. Shout out Jesse Williams. Shout out Lawrence Bender. Shout out everybody that was involved, right? Shout out everyone.
Yeah.
And people had criticisms. People said, hey, Van, this is trauma porn that you guys made. Black man get killed 1,000 times in the movie, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People said, hey, this movie is overwritten, overwrought. It's what it is.
Timely, though.
People had all those criticisms about the movie. Y'all took a movie that was about Black trauma, won an Academy Award with it, blah, blah, blah. This is all they want to see. We're not trying to see this shit, all of that. And guess what I did every time somebody did that? Man, my man 19 Keys.
Oh.
My man 19 Keys. Shout out 19 Keys. My man 19 Keys hit me up. He said, and I could tell what it meant in the thing. He goes, yo, how come in Two Distant Strangers, the Black man did not kill the cop that was trying to kill him over and over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
And me and him had a conversation, a quick one about that.
Yeah.
Right? Artists, Black people, thing. It's a whole deal. All of this stuff. It's all on the table. It's cool. It's fine. But, I mean, when I saw that, no, you watch A Different World, Marissa Tomei's character is not the main character.
She's not the main character.
It's a different
maybe
show.
people need to watch. Maybe she won't be, but
it
is called Southern Fried Rice.
Southern Fried Rice.
It is called that.
And what is it?
It's on Key TV.
It's on Key TV. I'm gonna watch it. What do you think the main character from Southern Fried Rice is going to pledge when she gets on the yard?
Oh, she's gonna be Aka.
She's an AKA?
Mm-hmm.
Why you say that?
I just.
Are you saying that the Deltas would not accept her?
That's not what I said. I could just see.
I know white Deltas.
I could just see an Aka.
Sam White's sister a Delta.
I know Latina Deltas. I don't know a white Delta though.
Sam White, you know Sam White, the Kappa, white Kappa from Philadelphia, Temple. You ever seen him?
I don't, but there was a white Kappa at UT.
Look up Sam White. Look up Sam White, Kappa Shimmy. Sam White, white Kappa. I think his sister is a Delta.
I mean, listen, you can pledge a D9 sorority or fraternity and not be Black.
But why is the Southern Fried girl, why is she going to be
I just picked
AKA?
one. I could have said SG Row. I could have said, and you would have said the same thing. You would have said why. I could have said Delta. You said why.
But I'm asking, why do you feel like there's something to that? And I want to name it.
I don't know. I just picked a sorority.
That's not the case at all. It's not the case. There's something, you feel like she's an AKA why? Light skin? Skinny?
That is a stereotype that exists, but I've seen that in Deltas.
Is that true?
I've seen that in Deltas. I've seen light-skinned women in Zeta, SG Row. Those are old stereotypes. Yeah. Which is why AKAs just started first ever chapter in Puerto Rico.
AKA Puerto Rico? Reggaeton? Pink and green?
They just had their first chapter.
What?
Mm-hmm.
AKA?
ACAs.
AKA.
Let's go. We gotta go.
What? That's what they're gonna be doing? That's what they do.
Oh,
they do.
The hands out.
They're gonna be doing. They're gonna be.
They don't make that noise.
Who?
The AKAs.
No, that's what they would be doing if they was in Puerto Rico. They would be
wow. We gotta go. Take us out. This is how you know when we've been podcasting too long. It just goes off the rails. It's too much.
Daddy Yankee. Woo! You ever see?
No.
Okay. Take your cuffs off. Watch on YouTube or the joke not gonna work.
It doesn't work. Okay. However you consume it.
Watch on YouTube or the joke not gonna work. You gotta watch on YouTube for the joke to work. Just to let y'all know.
It doesn't work. I'm Rachel Lindsay. Take your thinking caps off. Just throw him out the window at this point, because that's what Van has done. I'm Rachel Lindsay. He's Van Lathan Jr. We gotta go.